Well, it's hard to know because we do not really know what he's likely to be able to do. For tax reform and other domestic economic measures, he has to persuade Congress to go along with him. But what we can already see is that he's made life easier for the Federal Reserve and other central banks in two ways. One, that interest rates have already gone up, so it's now easier for central banks to start raising interest rates. And secondly, he's taken responsibility for the health of the US economy, and that takes pressure off the Federal Reserve.
Now, some people are very pessimistic and they believe that there will be a trade war. At the same time, he met with Alibaba founder Jack Ma in New York, promising to create 1 million new jobs. What kind of US-China relationship are you expecting under the Trump administration?
I think it's almost impossible to know at this stage. The big downside risk is that he will take action to make the American economy more protectionist. That will be damaging. On the other hand, he may actually introduce some supply-side reforms that would make it more productive. But I do think the relationship between the United States and China is going to be absolutely central to the health of the world economy looking forward.
You previously said that Brexit could leave the UK better off, but the Treasury is expecting that the UK's vote to leave the European Union could lead to a shrinking of the economy by around 6.2% by 2030. Do you still think that Brexit was a good idea? I mean, we have the retail sector and automobile industry picking up. What is your view at this point in time?
None of us really know what the long run effects will be, though my guess is that they will not be very significant. But the decision's been taken and we can make a real success of this. It gives Britain an opportunity to have its own immigration policy and its own trade relationships with other countries.
Governor Mark Carney will stay at the helm of the Bank of England until 2019. What kind of monetary policy direction are you expecting from him until the end of his term?
Well, I think everyone's very pleased that he's going to stay an extra year. Of course, he doesn't set monetary policy on his own. It's a committee of 9 people. And my guess is that they will carry on doing what they have been doing, which is to ensure that inflation remains low and stable, and the economy will carry on growing at a steady rate. Britain is the fastest large industrialized economy in the world that's growing rapidly this year.
What is the most important reform, in your opinion, that the banking industry around the world needs to make?
Well, what we saw in 2008 was a repeat of something that we've seen many, many times in the past, which is that banks which lend long-term and finance themselves short-term, when people lose confidence in those banks, the money disappears and you get a bank run or a bank crisis. And what we have to do is to recognize that in a crisis, only the central bank can supply liquidity, but that we need to make sure that banks take out an insurance policy. In other words, they take their assets to the central bank in normal times to guarantee access to a cash credit line when there is a crisis. I call this a new role for central banks, a pawnbroker for all seasons. And I describe it in my book, The End of Alchemy, and I think this one reform could do more to ensure the stability and safety of the banking system than anything else.